60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism. Are they wrong?
But that's not investigative journalism if you change someone's answers. If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense, and you edit that out and insert another answer to a different question that seems more cogent. But it's not that. It's editing things to make this deceptive editing.
Joe,
so in deceptive editing, you give people a different perception of who this candidate is than reality.
But you got to explain.
But that's not objective journalism. But that's campaigning for that
Bill Maher
person.
has been sounding the sirens louder than ever. He did the same back in 2024, warning the DNC when they bet it all on Karoline Harris. Ignored then, and we all watched that disaster unravel. Now Maher's returned, flames blazing, calling out the cracks in their latest chosen one. He's practically pleading with the left not to blow another shot. So, if you're craving uncut, explosive political drama, hit that subscribe button and let's spark this fire. Interview.
Elon Musk, and I know Elon was on your show, and he's here in Austin, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And we could talk about Elon, but he spent $270 million to elect Trump as president. Okay. I think that's absurd that any one person...
What's the most someone donated towards the Harris campaign?
They spent a lot of money on Harris as well.
They spent $1.5 billion just
combined
over the course of a couple of months.
You got it. All right, let me talk about it. So I'm not here just to say it's a Republican. That's my point here.
Right.
Okay.
And this is exactly why voices like Bill Maher keep hitting the panic button on AOC. Strip away the fiery rants, the dramatic outrage, and the non-stop social media theater. And there's not much left. She confuses noise for impact and treats aggression like it's leadership. There's no depth, no direction, just a never-ending show designed for likes, not legacy. Maher's not guessing. He's reading the signs loud and clear. If the Democrats stake their 2028 future on AOC, they're not just playing with fire. They're courting a political meltdown. Interview.
What about the other the other lawsuit with the conversation that they had with Kamala Harris, where they edited the answers that she had to make it look more precise?
60 Minutes, they were suing 60 Minutes.
Yes.
Is, to my mind, historically, even around for a very long time, they're not infallible. But I think you look at most objective people will say 60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism. Are they wrong?
But that's not investigative journalism if you change someone's answers. If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense, and you edit that out and insert another answer to a different question that seems more cogent.
Already, Democrats are bleeding support and fast as more of their base grows tired of the party's fixation on woke politics. Biden didn't exactly ride into retirement with grace. His term ended in a fog of confusion, burnout, and unkempt promises. Karoline Harris only added fuel to the fire with rambling speeches and muddled messaging, pushing people away instead of drawing them in. AOC, she's doubling down on the same ideological bubble that's driving middle America out the door. And if you're banking on Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz to save the day, good luck. Their records are packed with scandals, virtue signaling, and tone-deaf policies that alienate more voters than they attract. Even die-hard Democrats are beginning to drift towards centrists, independents, or just opting out entirely. The real issue isn't just who's at the helm. It's an ideology divorced from economic reality, public safety, and basic common sense. Interview.
Then you're walking down, you're walking down a dangerous path. Suing media has the impact of intimidating media. All right, if somebody sues you, all right, let me finish. All right.
Okay.
Somebody sues you, why not you? You could be sued tomorrow, right? Because you are doing this. You're too sympathetic to this.
Right.
And Joe, you did that. And they have a big law firm behind you. You're going to have to spend zillions of dollars defending yourself. You know what? Next time you do an interview, you say, maybe I'm not going to go in that area. Right?
No, but it's not that. It's editing things to make this deceptive editing.
Joe,
so in deceptive editing,
I don't
give people a different perception of who this candidate is than reality.
All right, but you got to explain.
But that's not objective journalism.
I know, but
that's campaigning for
we'll
that person.
We'll get to where Bill Maher is
Would you
heading in
agree
just
with
a
that?
second. But first, let's unpack what he's shining a light on. A deep, almost compulsive contempt from AOC and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party for America and its core values. Mott doesn't pull punches. He slams their performative outrage, fixation on identity politics, and habit of equating patriotism with prejudice. To this crowd, anything linked to Trump is instantly villainous. Even policies that clearly help the nation. Tax breaks for working families must be racist. Border enforcement, obviously xenophobic. Energy independence, that's just climate denial. It doesn't matter how practical or beneficial an idea is. If Trump touched it, they treat it like a toxic bomb. And Maher, never one to hold back, labels it for what it is, ideological self-sabotage. The Democrats aren't just resisting Trump. They're rejecting reality. And in doing so, they're pushing away everyday Americans who still believe in this country. Interview.
I don't have those details. I don't know that I agree with your analysis of it. I don't know enough.
I think that's universally accepted that that's what they did.
Then you got to tell me why he is suing ABC. Why he's suing Meta.
Let's just talk about the 60 Minutes
no,
one
but
first.
No, but it's not just
we could go to ABC, but I'm not aware of that one either.
Well, George Stephanopoulos said something that he didn't like. But the point is,
what did Stephanopoulos say?
I can't remember. It was I honestly don't remember. But
I think what he was saying was factually incorrect about the results of one of Trump's trials.
All right. Guess what? If I were to sue everybody who said things that were factually incorrect about me, I'd be suing people zillions of times.
Sometimes I hop on Twitter, take one glance at the feed, and instantly log off because the sheer level of anti-American rage is off the charts. It's like an online bonfire of bitterness led by young liberals who seem to hate the very country that gave them the freedom to rant in the first place. You see them tearing into America, its history, its values, its flag, painting it as some unforgivable monster instead of the place that handed them opportunity, free speech, and a quality of life most of the world only dreams of. I've traveled. I've seen a few countries outside the US. And believe me, most don't even come close. Not in freedom, not in opportunity, and definitely not in prosperity. And yet, these keyboard crusaders think it's bold or heroic to bash their own country. It's not. It's clueless, spoiled, and honestly, just plain embarrassing. Interview.
My concern is when you have media organizations that are purported to be objective, and then they say things that are defamatory and factually incorrect, and they should know that before they say it. What other course does a person have other than a lawsuit? And isn't it important that you shine the light on what is a political bias
then the way
where from an organization that you would hope would be objective?
Then there's the performative activism and blatant pandering from people like AOC. Everything she does feels like a rehearsed stage show, not to lead, but to earn claps and votes. She's built this image of a scrappy working-class hero, but the facts paint a totally different picture. Turns out her real name is Sandy Ocasio, not exactly the revolutionary brand she pushes. And she grew up in a well-off suburban neighborhood, not the rough Bronx background she loves to sell on the campaign trail. And that bartending tale, let's be real, millions of students juggle service jobs while in school. That's not some dramatic rise from poverty. It's just the standard grind. Yet AOC wraps it up like she clawed her way out of the gutter when she's really been play-acting the role of one of us while living the life of someone far removed. It's not authenticity, it's PR, and people are finally catching on. Interview.
Fake news media is really hitting new lows, so eager to restart their debunked Russian conspiracy theories that they somehow managed to mix up this man, Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, with this dude, Vladimir Putin. Easy mistake to make if you've lost all reasoning, any semblance of objectivity when you are an activist journalist for MSNBC. Here are some of the corrections.
Last night, The Last Word reported on excerpts of an interview between the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and an Indian TV news network in which she said Trump was good friends with the world leader. Now, we said that world leader was Vladimir Putin, but the full interview was subsequently released, and it showed that Gabbard was referring to Donald Trump and the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi.
Compare the freedoms women have in America to much of the world, and the gap is jaw-dropping. Here, women can vote, own property, chase any career path, wear what they want, drive where they please, and walk freely without being treated like second-class citizens. They can run companies, hold public office, speak their minds, and build lives on their own terms. No permission needed. That kind of independence is a dream in many countries where women are still muzzled, confined, or outright oppressed by culture and law. Yet somehow, AOC and others want us to believe America despises women because it won't bow to every demand of radical woke doctrine. Disagreeing with extreme gender politics isn't hate. Pushing back against ideological overreach isn't oppression. The irony is off the charts. They cry about systemic misogyny in a country that gives women more rights, more safety, and more opportunity than almost anywhere else on the planet. Interview.
So Tulsi Gabbard mentions that Trump is good friends with a world leader, and they not only just assumed she's talking about Vladimir Putin, but then they report that as if it were fact on television. That's what happened. Let's hear one more correction from MSNBC on that issue.
Last night, we reported on excerpts of an interview between the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and an Indian TV news network, in which she said that Trump was good friends with a world leader. We said that world leader was Vladimir Putin, but the full interview shows that Gabbard was referring to Trump and Indian Prime Minister Modi.
And when it comes to the nonstop assault on capitalism, the argument falls flat. Detractors love to vilify the very system that created the most prosperous, innovative, and opportunity-rich country on earth. Sure, socialism and communism might sound noble on paper. Equality, shared wealth, no poverty. But in the real world, they're economic sinkholes. History is packed with nations that embraced those dreams only to collapse under bloated bureaucracy, stalled innovation, and crushed personal drive. Just look at Venezuela, Cuba, or the old Soviet Union. These were resource-rich nations full of potential, now reduced to warnings. People literally risk their lives to escape those systems for a shot at the American dream. That alone should say it all. Capitalism, while not perfect, rewards effort, drives invention, and powers progress. America shouldn't flirt with socialism. It should sprint in the opposite direction. We don't need pipe dreams. We need systems that deliver. Interview.
The worst vice presidential candidate we have seen, the uniquely awful Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. Remember him? He had all sorts of delusions of being vice president. Now he has delusions of being a presidential candidate, and he thinks he's a tough guy. Here he responds to media pundits who mocked his lack of masculinity.
How do you fight it?
This notion
I could kick most of their. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can outrun them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
Good luck with that, Tim. I think Judge Janine has you covered.
Yes, because immigrants know better than anyone just how much worse life can be outside America. It's no accident that millions risk everything, limb, life, and liberty just to get here. They cross scorching deserts, face treacherous waters, and endure brutal conditions not for handouts, but for a chance at freedom, dignity, and opportunity. If America were truly the dystopian hellcape AOC and her ideological circle painted to be, why are people from all over the world still fighting tooth and nail to get in? The answer is crystal clear. Because even with its imperfections, America remains a shining beacon. Immigrants aren't chasing socialism or identity politics. They're chasing the American dream. They've lived under real oppression, so they understand freedom in a way many progressives refuse to grasp. That's why it's laughable when privileged politicians bash this country from the comfort of taxpayer-funded offices. Immigrants get what so many take for granted. America still delivers. In the end, the loudest critics of this nation are often the ones who've had it easiest. Meanwhile, those who've known true hardship understand exactly why this country matters. So, block out the noise. America isn't flawless, but it's still the world's greatest shot at liberty, opportunity, and truth. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.